Well, this sounds like Hole. No, not the Courtney Love band. I was attempting to be crude. I have a few template sessions set up purely for recording demo ideas when I'm on a streak. You know, drum samples that are already loaded up, guitar and bass channels that are all set. There's a few synths in there, so I don't have to worry about sonics, just getting the sloppy idea down. Since I'm not very creative, I named it Triplet because that's what the sequencer grid was in. I knew as I was recording that these sounds were all wrong, I just needed to have a record of it so I could go back later and actually try. Dear God, and this was my first attempt at trying. No guitars in this one, just temp synths and live bass for the feel. At this point I was just figuring out what felt right. Here's a hint, it wasn't this. I was going for a more rock-oriented direction, live-ish, bigger-sounding drums, but it felt a bit too blah, so I didn't even bother tracking temp guitars at this point. Because it was poop. Now that I had some cooler elements in place, I had the idea of kicking this sucker off with no fancy intro to speak of, just slamming into it after doing that descending riff. This was merely okay. Not nearly as cool as doing the big anticipatory build you hear in there now. Well, I think anyway.
You deserve every bit of what you're getting. I'm burning the bridge, but you started the flame. If you think that this is all just a little too much, I'm only showing the...
I only had some of the lyrics worked out at this point, so a lot of it is temp, keep the rhythm type stuff. In this you can hear my utter lack of ability to write a decent chorus melody. It's all very monotone because I figured the aggression would carry it. And guess what? No. Dear sweet merciful ass. Okay, so originally in the bridge I did this long held out scream of the word hell that sounded like regurgitated black metal backwash. So I kept trying different ways to make it interesting. And in this clip I figured doing kind of a record scratch type effect might work. Well, not only did it not work, it killed every woodland creature within a 5-mile radius due to its awfulness. Animal rights groups have asked me to never ever try this again. But I did. Since the other idea was so unsuccessful, I opted for going nuts with flange. While managing to make a cool noise here and there, overall it didn't strike me as something that I should be allowed to still be alive for if it were to be released in the full song. So that's why I changed it. And as the file name points out, this is the guitar solo before I went crazy deciding that it'd be cool if it sounded like it took a ride in a food processor. This was a ton of fun to record, as it's been forever and a day that I've whipped out a guitar lead in a song. Burning Bridges got scrapped because the vocals could have been way better. The theory was that new vocals would make the music feel different too, and I wanted to go in a new vocal and lyrical direction. So the first thing I do is work out melodies on piano to figure out just what the hell I'm doing. Please enjoy my elevator music. And here's the first new vocal idea following that piano line from the previous clip. No lyrics yet, just placeholder stuff that includes random gibberish, which isn't all that different from my typical lyrical output. The pre-chorus melody stuck, but the rest was maybe a bit too melodic. There's elements in the chorus that I still like, so don't be surprised if you hear that show up in another song. Or, maybe just act surprised like you just got a 20-pack of tube socks and a VHS of Ishtar as a gift.
You want to waste my time? Well, so what? You won't know. I'll bet you make them want it.
So the new verse idea was to make it a bit more electronic influenced than before. I thought it might be cool to throw a little vocoder action in there, though at this early stage I was going to go for kind of a hypnotic feel, but it just turned out more monotone and boring. Much like this voiceover. Temp lyrics again, just the first things that came to my head to keep the rhythm, and you know what worked in this clip? Not a damn thing. And I go through a lot of these to get to the finished product. A lot. What a terrible clip to leave you with. I'm suddenly rethinking this whole, it'd be so cool to give people a behind-the-scenes look at the process and blah, blah, blah. Well, you've listened this far, which means there's something terribly wrong with you and something terribly wrong with me as well. So let's enjoy our little trip to hell together, shall we? In this clip, you can hear the beginnings of the chorus that made the final song. The main thing in this clip is that I thought I could spice up the verses and pre-choruses with some screamy action, and that was about as good an idea as carbonated milk. Well, this was the last clip. Thanks for listening to me ramble like an idiot, and thank you mucho for buying the deluxe edition single of Anti-You and supporting the music you dig. It is massively, massively appreciated. There's a lot more music coming at you soon that I can't wait for you guys to hear. I'm Bret of Stahli, and I really wish I would have thought of a cool way to sign off.